Hello, everyone. In today's episode, I'm joined with Simon, and today, me and Simon are going to be having a nice talk. And we're like, as you know, like the people who do listen to the podcast quite a lot, we speak about Crohn's, IBD, and autism. And as part of autism is we like just our hobbies. And today, I'm going to be speaking with Simon about preferably Doctor Who and all sort of other stuff too. So thank you, Simon, for coming on to join me today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Very interesting topic of yours, and I'm happy to talk about that as well as anything else you may ask me.
Yeah. So just to start off with, Simon, if you could just say a little bit about yourself, like introduce yourself.
Okay, for those who don't know me, because I have to accept there are a few who don't know who the hell I am. My name is Simon Fisher-Becker. I'm an actor, and my claim to fame in sci-fi world is that I played a very iconic character called Dorium Moldavar in Doctor Who, and I was the Fat Friar of Hufflepuff House in Harry Potter. And if you go to my IMDb page, you've got a good idea of what other things I've done, as well as seeing my show reels.
Yeah, I think
that sort of comes in. When I started out, I was thought of as a bumbling idiot and was always cast as the comic character. But as time moved on, I was offered more serious roles, and that's why Dorium Moldavar was ideal for me, because he's a somewhat dubious character who could be very funny and very menacing at the same time.
Yeah. I remember watching like Dorium, and I think he was a great character, Simon, because he was funny as well at times, and I think you must have loved like playing him.
Well, I was very lucky. I was very lucky that Stephen Moffat's scripts for Dorium were wonderful. I mean, basically, all I had to do was learn the lines because it said it all. So that was well. And then working with Matt Smith, particularly in the Wedding of River Song, was utterly delightful. As a Doctor Who fan over the years, I go way back to William Hartnell. I was absolutely cock-a-hoop when I was first asked to play Dorium, but disappointed it was only one scene. In one episode, and so I'm over the moon that he's got to come back and play at least 3 more episodes. And now there's Big Finish episodes where Dorium appears. I've also been given the opportunity to play other characters for Big Finish. And I get to give talks all over the world. I get to meet fans at conventions. It's and all because I painted myself blue and shaved my head.
Yeah. How was it being blue, Simon?
Oh, to be honest, I was very lucky, because poor old Dan Starkey and some of the other actors had to be in the chair with their prosthetics, etc., for hours and hours, whereas for me, makeup and costume was really just about 2 hours. So in that sense, I had an easy ride.
Yeah. And, like from the episode, the Wedding of River Song, I think, like, even though you was in that one of the last scenes at the end of the episode, it was a really good one as well, because like you had Matt Smith they're with you, and then you mostly you're the one talking, I'd say.
Yeah.
And saying Doctor Who as well, it must have been iconic right at the end.
I can't say enough how excited but terrified as well I was to find that I was going to be spending 3 days with Matt Smith. Yeah, I mean, there were other people there, don't get me wrong, but Matt Smith as the Doctor, and I got to spend 3 days with him, and he was extremely helpful, very kind, very sweet, with a little twinkle in his eye.
Yeah.
So he's always trying to make me laugh. but there we go.
Yeah, I think Matt Smith was a fantastic Doctor. I think he's up there with one of the best ones, I think.
Well, you see, he followed David Tennant, who many believe is the best Doctor, but I'm not going to play that game. I just know that Matt Smith was, it was my best Doctor because I got to work with him.
Yeah, yeah. There's nothing better than working with a doctor.
Yeah, there's nothing better than working as well.
No. But like because you said you've been a fan yourself, Simon, for throughout the years, like from.
I'm 2 years older than Doctor Who. I was 2 when it all started, and so I was about 5 when William Hartnell changed to Patrick Troughton. But I do remember that. Do remember it. Because it had some sort of impact on me, and so I always said that Patrick Troughton was my Doctor, because Matt Smith is the one I got to work with, so that's even more special, as I've said before.
Yeah, and like, is there like out of all the scenes that you've been in, is there like a particular one that you look back and you kind of like think that is your best one?
I just loved doing it all myself, but what I can say from feedback, people always comment about the head of the box, and the other scene that's mentioned a lot is the scene with Madame Kavarian, with the wonderful Frances Barber, who I at the time was shaking in my boots, because I've known Frances Barber for many years as a wonderful stage actress, and of course I'd seen her in films and television, and so I was very conscious that not only did I have to sort of raise my bar because I'm playing opposite such a prestigious performer, but I had to raise it for Dorium, because Dorium couldn't be seen to be kowtowed by to Madame Kavarian. So in that sense, I did make an extra effort, and that's paid off. And a lot of fans talk about it. And of course, that scene was used as a promotional trailer for the episode when it came up. So I'm eternally grateful for that.
Yeah, I remember that episode, and I think it was a really good episode as well. Like, I think all of Matt Smith's episodes are really good. I think.
I think that the episodes that the series that I was in, 5 and 6, definitely.
Yeah.
I think they were excellent series. A Good Man Goes to War. It was the sort of end of the mid-season, wasn't it? Because the year it was first broadcast, they sort of split it in 2. And of course, when I did A Good Man Goes to War, Dorium loses his head. So I thought, oh, that's a shame. That's the end of my term. And so when they called me back for the Wedding of River song, of course, I thought it was going to be a backstory, because there's all this talk about Dorium, along with 1 or 2 others, having a debt. Oh, the doctoral debt. And we still don't know the answer to that one, do we?
No, we don't. Simon, wasn't you in the Pandora Opens as well?
Yes, that was the first episode for Dorium. Yeah. In that episode, the character was only known as Dorium. Yeah. It was only when he came back that they gave him a surname. Yeah. Or a second name. I was told off the other day that you can't use the term surname now. I don't know why. Yeah. Everybody knew what a surname was. I don't see why they don't know now.
Yeah.
And why a name should upset, or a term describing a name should upset anyone, I have no idea. There's far more important things going on in the world, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. But like with at the moment, do you still watch Doctor Who, like with the 13th Doctor?
Yes, I follow Doctor Who all the time, and there were a couple of times the Peter Davison era and Sylvester McCoy. I never had a thing called a recorder, or tape recorder, or a video recorder in those days, so it was difficult to sort of catch up on things, but I did try. And now I record everything. I've got a TiVo box, that's constantly at something like 80 or 85%. So because I record things because I'm busy doing other things, and then I find there's not time to catch up. But when I do find a time to catch up, I actually get to do what what do they call it when people just yes, I tend to binge a series all in one go, which in some ways I really enjoy.
I think it's great when you do that, but sometimes when you like, for example, if you've been something off Netflix, for example, you have to wait another year for the next series to come along.
But there we go.
And like with the current season, what like because it's just recently finished, hasn't it? Like, what's your opinions on like the latest series?
I loved it because it had a cliffhanger every week, which goes back to the original classic stories. It was quite fascinating. There was in the middle of the series a bit of confusion and a lot going on, but I like that sort of thing. I like to be a bit befuddled. I don't particularly like being spoon-fed things.
No.
And there was the same criticism with Series 6 with Matt Smith. People kept on complaining they didn't know what was going on, but you asked their 8-year-old and they could tell you. But you know, because I always said to people, look, if you're reading a murder mystery, unless you're reading a Columbo, you don't really want to know who done it until the last page or two. You know, just stay with it. I think some of the writing has been very clever.
I have enjoyed the last series, but like I think one thing I have missed throughout the last few years is like the Christmas episodes, because that, like with Matt Smith, for example, his episodes were always on Christmas time, like a Christmas episode, and just recently we've had to just get used to the New Year's ones.
Yes, but that's down to the schedulers. I don't know. I know people like to apportion blame for things. But it is the way it is, and for those who've been unhappy with Doctor Who in recent years, that's just okay. You're unhappy, but let's move on and try and put some focus towards what's coming in the future. I'm looking because the next one, isn't it? It's January the 1st. That's that. And then isn't it in 22? There's going to be some specials.
Yeah, I think there's going to be an autumn one, like an Easter one. I think a similar schedule. Like, do you remember when David Tennant was the Doctor and he did?
Yes.
It was a Christmas one, then an Easter one, and then like a
final series.
Yeah. So she's going to have like 3 more episodes, but I hope on the Century special, because that her last episode is going to be the special to BBC, because Doctor Who is one of the first ever shows to be on the BBC. So
yes, I mean it's extraordinary, isn't it? Yeah. I mean it's 58 years now, so it'll be 59 years this time next year.
Yeah.
And then I think, isn't it, Russell T Davies is back in time to do the 60th.
He is. So, he's going to be writing that.
Yeah. So there we go.
Exciting times ahead for Doctor Who, I think. Yeah.
So we shall see.
Yeah. But who knows? Like on the 50th, we had David Tennant back. Who knows, for another special we might have.
People always ask me these sort of things, but there's, as an actor who wants work, of course I'd love to be involved with that. But then as a fan, I just want to sit back and watch it when it unfolds. One of the best things, for the 50th, I was invited to a cinema in Crawley, which is near Gatwick Airport. Yeah. And I was given, the royal treatment. So I had a lovely seat. But there was lots of chattering going on and people were very excited. And of course, when the curator appeared, and first of all, it's just the voice of Tom Baker, the whole cinema erupted. And so I didn't get to hear a word of what's said in that scene because everybody was so excited. So I then had to go home and watch it again. But what I will say, I absolutely I was enthralled with the excitement. It was amazing and it was lovely. And I just hope Tom Baker is still with us when the 60th comes round.
Yeah, yeah. I think it would be great because the thing
Yeah.
since that was, there's been a fair few more doctors like since Matt Smith.
Yes. So it'll be interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
But there are other things going on in the world, you know, and there's other productions. There's lots of young writers coming up with fresh ideas, and it would be very interesting if they could get an opportunity to show what they can do. And I hope the people like the BBC and other TV stations find a way of giving them opportunities.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, I'm a bit bored personally with seeing shows which are like something else that was successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you want a copy of something that was successful and then produce something which isn't as good? Whereas you could invest money in fresh talent, new writing, new ideas, and so there's more things for us to discover.
Yeah.
So I don't know how old you are, but I suspect I'm a good 2.5 times older than you. And in my day, when I was, you know, younger, we only had 3 TV channels, 3. And then in the 80s came along Channel 4. So there were fewer channels, but that gave us an increased chance of discovering something. Whereas I've sort of found it myself that with having 900 channels to choose from, most of them are just repeating the same stuff. And you think, well, why aren't they doing something different? And mainly because they haven't got the money to produce stuff, have they? That's the answer.
Yeah.
So I'd go for fewer stations who have bigger budgets so they can produce new stuff. Because as we've discovered during lockdown, we like to be entertained.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, like we're used to waiting a year for, like, we like a particular series coming on the telly. We're used to waiting a year till the next one comes along, and like it'll be interesting and more stuff. That the more we're watching seasons come out on different types of the year.
Yes, I don't mind waiting a year if during that time they've really focused and produced something well. Like a series like Doc Martin, they always, right from the beginning, said it would be a biannual series. So they give themselves plenty of time to really hone whatever scripts they got together. And Doc Martin is a series I thoroughly enjoy. And of course, that includes Ian McNeice, who was Winston Churchill in Doctor Who.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Eileen Atkins, who I worked with on stage when I very first started out. I think it was about 1989. So there we go, long time. Things. What I will say, having got to my age now, time rushes by. So enjoy it whilst you can.
Yeah, well, I completely agree, Simon, because there's no point like things that I know lockdown's been tough for quite a lot of people, but you've got to try and enjoy yourself and try and do different things.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Do lots of things so you've got lots of memories.
Yeah. There's a few things I want to do in 2022, Simon, because as most people know, Cardiff is where Doctor Who has been mostly filmed over the years.
Yes.
And I would like to go to visit a few locations where some episodes have been filmed, which is something I'd like to do.
Well, they've included Sheffield and Liverpool more recently as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Like, I think you got one a recent episode. I think it was the first one actually, where they did out at the back of Anfield at the Liverpool Stadium. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, but there's so many places you can visit, and like as most recently with a new variant, things at this time of year gets a bit darker, as we can see, and this you feel a bit lazy, I suppose. Like you don't want to do as much because it's that time of year.
Yes, there is that. It's very true. You do spark up a bit more when the sun's out longer during the day.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah. Like I do prefer when it's light out. Then I won't go out as much when it's dark. If I'm with someone, I will, but it's more do stuff in the day during night time.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say that I'm very fortunate, or unfortunate, depends how you look at it. Because of Doctor Who, I get involved with all sorts of projects across the world. So I'm often doing these sort of podcasts or doing live broadcasts to people who do sort of Zoom conventions.
Hmm.
So for me, it's 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
You know,
you're very busy.
Well, I keep myself busy, otherwise you go completely insane. But I'm very lucky that I'm a co-host of a radio podcast called The No Name Show, but it's based in Australia. So as for me, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, whereas in Australia, it's 8 o'clock at night. But it does, being on the internet, it broadcasts worldwide, and we're getting a good following. Likewise, I get involved with the legend of the traveling Tardis. But then that's for me, it's 10:30 at night, and if we keep going, it can be about 12:30 or 1 o'clock before I get to bed.
Yeah.
And there have been a couple of times where I've had to be up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And my hair is too grey for me to do that too often now. Yeah.
So Simon, when you was on the set of Doctor Who, was you able to? I know when you was on screen, you wasn't shown like on the TARDIS or anything, but offset, was you allowed to go in the TARDIS or have a little sneak?
Well, this is the kindness of Matt Smith. There was the scene where Dorium his head was upside down in the box.
Yeah.
Well, when it was filmed over 2 separate days. On the first day, they filmed Matt's stuff, but Matt invited me into the TARDIS. And whilst we were filming his stuff, I was sitting under the console delivering Dorium's lines so he could bounce off. And then when they'd finished, he gave me 20 or 30 minutes and we just played with the console and had lots of fun. I suddenly became 12 again. And it was good. And that's an example of the kindness of Matt, because of the pressures of lots of leading actors in TV programs and also the time scales to do stuff, very often you do a scene and there it goes, right, next, and then they all run off somewhere else. But Matt kindly programmed in a little bit of time so I could play in the TARDIS, for which I'm eternally grateful. But the way it is also, because Dorium's head ended up inside the TARDIS, there are several fans who contact me and say that they do consider me an honorary companion.
Yeah.
So that's helped me with lots of things as well.
Yeah. It must have been like especially nice of Matt to say to have a few 30 minutes to play.
Yes, it's an example I give just to confirm what I say. I mean, to be honest, most actors are utterly delightful, and I've found personally that the only time that they can get a bit fractious, if that is the term, is if they're under a bit of pressure. I know myself, for example, I've been filming things, and if once or twice I've had a heavy scene. That meant I had a lot of dialogue, there was a lot of movement, I had to make sure I could get to my mark. And also, as well as talking, you're having to pick up a telephone or pick up a glass or open a door and do it all and time it, sort of thing. So the last thing you want when you're trying to focus on that is to have somebody come up and ask for an autograph.
Yeah.
And then at that point you can say, I try and say I could do it later, and but that so I understand why sometimes people can be considered not to be as nice as people think. It's just that some people choose the wrong time to approach them. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And personally, I think if we're working, we're working. You know, there's plenty of time once we finished filming to sort of talk and mingle with people and sign stuff. And I'm not against signing anything at all. I mean, especially if it's fans, because after all, without the fans, I wouldn't be here talking to you.
No.
Yeah. So,
No.
you know,
But yeah.
and the Harry Potter fans are even more extraordinary. And this industry is very funny, because from Doctor Who, there's been lots of spin-offs for me, including I've become a published author. My latest book, Let Zygons Be Zygons. I don't know if that looks the right way around. For me,
it's the right way.
Yeah. Let Zygon is but a third of my trilogy. That's out. People can get it from Amazon, or they can contact Fantastic Books Publishing. And that's the spin-off from Doctor Who. One of the spin-offs with Harry Potter is I've got to go to conventions which are Harry Potter only. And so that meant I had to travel twice as much, which of course now is frowned along because it's now considered non-ecological to do so. But a thing I did recently, I was invited to take part in the Harry Potter Tournament of Houses quiz, which is hosted by Helen Mirren of all people, and people can go online and see that. So that's very encouraging. But in that case, I couldn't get to LA, so LA came to me. They sent a production crew to my house, and they set up a huge green screen. They redesigned my living room, and huge fun. But it is you never know with this industry what's round the corner.
No, you don't. Like for example, with because Doctor Who and Harry Potter are two iconic programs, although
I've been very lucky indeed.
Yeah.
But I've done lots of other things of which I'm equally proud.
Yeah.
There's a series called Puppy Love, which is utterly enjoyable and getting on. I had plenty of times to that. Many more things, and currently I'm working on a documentary about disability, or highlighting disability awareness. And
that's really good.
The production crew have asked me to come on board because they know I'm a performer who has disability issues. So watch this space. It's called Bigger on the Inside.
Oh, that sounds really good, Simon. As well. As you said before, with doing more. You get to do more things once you've been a Doctor Who, and I found that for a couple of actors I've seen. I think, for example, Matt Smith has probably done more now from being on Doctor Who.
Well, I think it does. How can I describe it without it sounding weird? The simplest thing is that before Doctor Who, I had to audition for everything. Absolutely, whether it's a thing that was going to be a day's filming somewhere, or whether I was going to go off on a 6-month tour or whatever. I had to audition for everything. But since Doctor Who, I don't have to audition so often. In fact, for about 5 or 6 years after Doctor Who, I didn't have to audition at all. People just phoned and asked my availability, which was wonderful. But now, since lockdown, doing self-tapes and that sort of thing has come to a fore. But there's another thing that I got involved with purely because of Doctor Who, I know, but it's lovely. I was contacted by a chap called Steve Long in America, that he was producing a sci-fi drama, a bit tongue-in-cheek, and it's called The Hawk Chronicles.
Oh,
you see, and really and I was invited as a guest artiste for episode 103, and I've just recorded episode 172. So that's another thing that just comes along.
Yeah, as well with it's really good that you got lots going at the moment, Simon. Even though we can even saying we've been in lockdown, you can still do stuff like we said before. like indoors
Yes,
as well.
and to young students who've just left college and those say who've been at it for 2 or 3 years and they feel that nothing's happening, I always say you're just an audition away. And I can say now that I'm old that if you miss an opportunity, there'll always be another.
Yeah.
I know when I was much younger, I've missed opportunities and I thought that was it. That's it. I must give up. I missed my chance, but no, chances come round all the time and quite often, quite unexpectedly.
Yeah.
But practice your craft so that you are ready when an opportunity comes along. And above all, turn up at the audition. You laugh, but if you knew the number of people who just don't turn up and then wonder why they haven't got a job, is amazing.
Yeah, like in my spare time, Simon, I like through lockdown, because I started the podcast recently after lockdown started. And in my mean time, I'll do my own little .2 clips just to keep me occupied and, as well. And it's something I do want to get into, but acting, because I really enjoy it myself. And I when I was at school, I did a little bit of drama, and I was putting the play at the end because I play the Mario character. So I was a few people, and I didn't find it. I find it really fun. It's something I want to do. Maybe look into a bit more.
Well, good luck with everything.
Yeah.
So tell me more about your Crohn's and other disabilities or illnesses that you and your friends have that you want to sort of highlight or promote.
Or some I have Crohn's. It's basically it stands for IBD, inflammatory bowel disease. And if you haven't heard of it before, I'll explain a little bit about it.
No, I've heard about it, and what I do know, unless things have changed, nobody really knows why it is, but they have found ways of soothing this situation, but not curing it. Am I correct?
Yeah, that is correct, Simon. Like I was diagnosed in 2017, and there was no, you don't know how you got it or anything, which is it's quite annoying that part of it. But at the moment, I take medication. I take medication that cancer patients take. So by logic, so I'll take like different medication to help with not having any pain. So I don't want to risk, as much as I would not like to have medication at all, but because having this medication dampens my immune system, so I'm more susceptible to having colds, and COVID's always been a risk throughout the pandemic as well.
I mean, I myself, I'm in constant pain. I have osteoarthritis, and I have a damaged back and knee because I was attacked in 2009. So I have to deal with pain. So I understand totally what you mean about pain relief. And even the pain relief that they offer, there's still a dull pain constantly. So I don't know if that's the same for you.
Yeah, mostly with Crohn's, it's like not many people see it, so it's like you can't see it on the inside because quite a lot of it is, although some is on the outside, but most of it is in. Like the pain I had for my diagnosis, I lost enormously a lot of weight. I wasn't eating anything, and had a burning pain in my stomach, so had to get seen. And most people with Crohn's, Simon, that are diagnosed around my age or a bit younger are quite like to have surgery in their life. So I'm quite likely. I haven't had it yet, which is a good thing. Every time I have a meeting with like my consultant, I say, "Am I going to have surgery?" Because it's always on top of my mind. And as much as I don't want it, I just I probably know in the back of my mind one day I probably will.
Can I ask, if it gets too personal, tell me. But so if you're planning a journey or something, are there things that you need to take into consideration before you do that journey?
Like I like if it's a sunny day, for example, and you'll go to the beach. It's nice sunny outside. I have to take a certain. So I have to take a sun cream because and having Crohn, the kind of Crohn's I have, prevents I could potentially have skin cancer if I'm out in the sun too long. So I have to take them precautions. Food wise, I have to avoid spicy foods, and I can't have caffeine. So and Simon, for everyone it's different. So for someone, they could have carrots, and I could have and I may not be can't to have carrots because it may be painful for me. So that's what I love about Crohn's. At first it was hard. Didn't know anything about it, but over the years I've learned about it, and like taught other people about it as well.
And that's good, but I understand because I have to because of the medication I take, I have to make sure there are plenty of comfort break stops with the right facilities. So it's not just a case as, oh, I'll turn up here and I'll turn up there. I've got to make sure what is roughly the time distance between A, B, and B and C and D, and is there anywhere I can stop off on route? But that's the main thing I have to consider, really.
Yeah.
The pain you accept. I'm very lucky that in the morning when I take my first medication, that sort of doesn't start to wear off until about 2 o'clock.
Okay.
And then, so then I have to take some more around 2, and then that'll keep me going until about 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then, so at the moment for me, it's not too bad, but I know for others it can be terrible.
Yeah.
So I empathize, sympathize, and everything else with these with conditions that people have.
Yeah.
So
they are not. They're not nice, but we kind of have to accept it and get used to it. And I know not everyone's going to understand. And like for example, acting as someone I like, especially during the lockdowns, I've wanted to do, but because of being high risk as well, and like you have to be quite close when you do acting sometimes, and it's something I want to do when maybe things have cooled down a little bit, and like with the pandemic. So I'm hoping 2022 will be a better year. I know like it's not as bad as last year this year, but I want it to be like a bit more, like so I could do like more and not maybe worry about like being so close to people.
yes, I think there are certain protocols set in place, and I know with filming they've got all sorts of protocols now, which are very good. And as long as people follow the rules, things should be okay. But nothing's perfect. I mean, what we're dealing with now with the pandemic is a virus, and there is no cure for a virus. It has to run its course. But so all these vaccines and things are just things to ease the symptoms in some cases and reduce the chances of the virus being more serious than it can be.
Definitely.
And that's all it is, and not all it is, but that's what it is. And of course, when the new variants come along, you have no idea how serious or if it's going to be very serious or not. And that's when you're living in that sort of limbo. I think it's just sensible just to follow the basic rules. Although I must admit, I did chuckle when originally one of the rules was to wash your hands regularly, particularly if you've been to the bathroom. Whereas I thought people did that anyway.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought, Simon. I was exactly the same.
Yeah, so I didn't realize, I couldn't quite work out why that had to be a rule, but I don't know.
Yeah,
but
and then we had the and then everyone's getting toilet rolls, weren't they?
I don't know what that was all about, because it made me chuckle, but there we are. But also it highlighted how society, and I'm not just saying the UK, but worldwide, how something like a pandemic can have an immediate effect on the society until people have got things into place, which sort of begs the question that maybe there should be things in place all the time.
Definitely.
But that would be considered too expensive. But
Yeah.
then I say to myself, well, my grandmother used to say to me, what's the cost of not doing something? She used to say. Well, and when I was younger, I couldn't quite understand what she was saying, but I fully understand that now.
Yeah, of
But
course. Of course.
but we mustn't get too political.
No,
Yeah,
definitely not.
I do my personal vlogs, and more recently, I've had them censored and even taken down.
Oh,
And I haven't said anything extreme as far as I know, but it appears that there's somebody out there in the world to get upset, and if one person complains, then everybody else has to lose out, which is, I think that needs to be looked at as well.
yeah, yeah. And it's not very nice that it get taken down when like as you feel you like you haven't said anything
Well,
out.
maybe I can be an agent provocateur. I'll own up to that, but I've never ever said or suggested anything that I would consider controversial.
Yeah.
But we're in danger now of people wanting to silence other people because they're not following a mantra, which is again quite dangerous.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wish you well, and
So,
all sufferers of Crohn's and similar disorders. You know, it's so all of you out there, just to let you know that I am one of many people who do understand and appreciate, and that you're not alone. And maybe we're not suffering from the same condition as you, but we have our own situations as well.
We do.
So it's just good luck with it, and just know that there are other. And I think knowing that there are other people helps tremendously.
Yeah. And
otherwise, you can fall into the trap of thinking you're the only one.
Yeah, it's better. It's nice when you start the other people that have it. But Simon, last I got one or two last questions before we finish up. And the first one is like when you're acting, like on Doctor Who, for example, is it like, because I know I've seen with scenes that they're sometimes in like different places. Like how is that for you? Like the traveling and getting to all those different places.
Well, first of all, the excitement of having the job, and if you're doing a production with somebody like the BBC know that I have mobility issues, and I want to wave the flag for them, because for me personally, I don't know about anybody else, they've always been very considerate and understanding, and there's, as far as I know, there's been no real issue. But there are times, especially when you're on location, that sometimes you're filming at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, I mean, the scene where the Dorium loses her head, it was 2 o'clock in the morning.
2 o'clock in the morning.
Freezing cold in 1 January in an airline aircraft hangar. But huge fun. Huge fun.
I can imagine it's like fun doing it. Those like times, those kind of times.
Yeah, I absolutely appreciate and accept that I do a job that I love doing, and I have done, when I've done temp work in the past, work that I couldn't get out the office quick enough. So I do understand how some people feel if they're not happy in their workplace, and I applaud them, especially those who just stick at it for 40 years. I don't know how they manage it, really. But yeah.
And like, the last question I'd like to ask, Simon, do you like from like people you've been on set with on Doctor Who, do you keep in contact with anyone you've worked with?
I keep in contact with one or two, but most people just keep their details to themselves.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's it's been really nice chatting to you, Simon, and like talking about Doctor Who, all the wonderful stuff you like to do. It's been a really nice chat.
It's been a real pleasure, and I'd be very happy to come on again if you wished me to.
Definitely. Hopefully, we might be able to like see each other one day, and maybe we might go to, because I know those, like I think they're called Comic Cons, aren't they? Where you meet all the stars from Doctor Who. And I've
Yes.
never been on one, but
Oh.
I would like to go at some point.
They are huge fun. The really big ones can be intimidating by the sheer size and numbers of people, but some of the smaller ones are very good, and it's always a joy to meet people.
Definitely. I might see you at like one of them, so maybe.
Hopefully. I mean, at the moment, because of COVID and things, I've got nothing booked until next November, perhaps.
Okay.
There's a chance of going to Chicago again, but who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Omicron's brother might be in place by then.
well, it's been a pleasure, Simon.
Thank you.
Thank you.